This is the passage we just looked at. We're going to call it wave one. This notion that they are not wise by human standards or powerful or of noble birth, that God's initial group in Corinth, the first wave of disciples, the first wave of converts to Paul's gospel, were not people mostly of status. Now, notice it doesn't say none of you were. That would sound like Adolf Deisman, right? He doesn't say there wasn't a single one among you who was educated or powerful in the world or of noble birth. He says, not many of you. And so we know that Paul's early group was mostly people of lower means, but there may have been a sprinkling of people of means. And so we get to the Acts 18 layout of things. After this, Paul left Athens and went to Corinth. There he met a Jew named Aquila, a native of Pontus, who had recently come from Italy with his wife Priscilla because Claudius had ordered all the Jews to leave Rome. Paul went to see them, and because he was a tent maker, as they were, he stayed and worked with them. So, as we picture Paul's people, the first church that Paul gathered in Corinth, one component of that group is likely from the guild of artisans in Corinth. It was standard in ancient cities for people to flock to certain areas of town who were of the same trade. We have an inscription from one of the big cities in the ancient Roman Empire, where the snail fishermen are making rules for their guild. Right? So if you were a snail fisherman, you found other snail fishermen, and you gathered in a what amounts to an Elks Lodge or a union meeting. Right? And so Paul was a member of the unofficial guild of tent makers, and so were Priscilla and Aquila. And and so they found each other, and these were Jews who had come from Rome, but they paired up with Paul and apparently were the first level of church. So here we have day laborers, right, who are kind of between merchants and uh, and and just people who are brought in to do manual labor. They are their own, apparently their own business, but in Paul's case, he travels doing it. So that's one stratum. It's not the lowest of the low, but it's also not very powerful in the socioeconomic system of Rome.